The heart of high school wrestling is here in Adams County, and nobody covers it like WZBD.
You guys got a heck of a view.
It's time for Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Everybody wants to be there.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
90 minutes of interviews, results, discussions, and prognostications.
I'm excited.
As Hall of Famer Rex Brewer and Dane Filling bring you another episode.
We hope that you can join us here
Live from
The Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille.
on Channel Z,
I'm excited.
92.7 FM.
Well, good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the Haggard, Hirschy, Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, hosted, as always, by our good friends here at the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille. And Dane, I switched it up tonight. Went with the fried bologna sandwich.
Ooh, I had cheese curds as usual, and there's a burger special all week, and tonight's special was wings as well. So
Yeah, the burger special was a pepper. It's a pepper burger. Has
Yeah, and it's good.
peppers and pepper.
it's good.
Cheese in it.
It's good all week as well, I believe. So, and we finally have some actual wrestling to talk about that we were able to cover. It's garlic pepper jack burger
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got garlic pepper aioli on it.
and some banana peppers.
There you go.
Whew.
Sounded like heartburn to me, so I passed.
Well, we'll ask our guest here in a little bit what he had and what he thought of it. Like I said, we did have some actual wrestling action to talk about. Friday was a busy night with the wrestling match at Wawasee and a pair of football games. But, Rex, sadly, no more football to talk about. That means it's all wrestling all the time now at WZBD.
You know, I went up there and watched Adams Central play a very different and Andrean team than they played last year. They didn't win by a lot last year, 2013, but they pretty much dominated the game. And this year was a totally different game. They did not succeed at just about any level of that game. So, I mean, it was a tough loss, but I think they lost to a better team.
And the Adams Central Flying Jets were in action on the JV level on Saturday at Belmont. Had a chance to talk to new head coach Ryan Landis and new assistant coach Eric Myers. We'll talk about them in a later segment as well. And both of those guys are up at Warrior, or kind of on their way home from Warrior right now, maybe listening. And a good reminder, Rex, of just how many people listen to wrestling on WZBD. I went ahead Friday and I used it to give my tribute to Mary Strickler, who one of the great fans all time in Belmont wrestling, Decatur wrestling history, and one of the great teachers in Belmont history. And I knew Bob would be listening. I didn't have to ask, but after I got done with it, I got a text from Tony Ish, who's a great friend of WZBD as well, and he said, "Oh, Uncle Bob was listening." So, and I saw him on Saturday. He was at the JV tournament watching. I think he's got a great grandson who's on the Belmont team this year as a freshman. So,
Interesting to see.
So we'll talk more about what's in store this week, as we've got the Snyder match and we've got the Red Hawk Super Duels this weekend. Lots and lots to discuss and go over. And, of course, we've got lots of basketball this week as well. We had Purdue basketball last week down in the Bahamas, but we've got some more games, and we've got the big game between Adams Central and Belmont. Belmont with a big win over Heritage last night. Mike Maki and Lou Koning on that one. So lots and lots to go over. Later in the show, we'll go over the results from this weekend, talk about that Center Grove Classic that we talked about so much in the last episode. And then we'll go through some of the girls' tournaments as well. We'll be joined in the first period by the head coach of the Southern Wells Raiders, Jacob Duncan. He's got some news of a big change for the Southern Wells wrestling program, so that's exciting. We'll hear more about that. And we'll discuss the ACAC and what to expect from some of the teams in that conference later on in our show. And then in our second period, we'll hear from Mike Reiser from Indiana Matt. He's going to tell us more about some of the big matches in that Center Grove Classic, and we'll talk rankings. And then in the third period, we're going to throw it back a little bit as we get back into full Belmont wrestling mode. I'm going to throw some names at you, and I want to hear some stories.
Well, you threw some names at me, and they were older names that I didn't recognize, so we skipped the older names, went to the younger names.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to be talking 1976 because in our Belmont Wrestling Media Guide, we go back 10 years at a time. And so the 1920 or 1926.
1920. I don't know anything about the 1920s.
2026 will get us talking about the 2016 teams and the 2006 and the 96. That's Sean Ferrote right there. And, are we not on?
You are.
Oh, it's just you. They can only hear your echo. Maybe you should switch your ports there.
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe it's just your headset. It's just me? Solo?
Well, if you stop talking, see, I'm here. I'm still here. We'll see.
Interesting. And, of course, we'll take a look at the Snyder Panthers as well. We'll bring you that Snyder match on Tuesday. And if you are listening right now and you are planning on listening to that, make sure you know that that is going to be YouTube only. And there's no on-air broadcast on Tuesday night, as we'll have girls basketball.
Let me see if that's any better. Nope, that's not any better either.
We'll give Adams Central and the Braves girls their due. Don't freak everybody out there.
We're all right.
We're good. So, yeah, lots and lots to talk about in the show, and we really get the season underway this week. And as I said on our broadcast on Friday night that August and I had, we have a situation where a lot of these Belmont had 5 freshmen, right, in the lineup on Friday, and those 5 freshmen will have 12 varsity matches done 8 days later. And so a lot changes in the mindset, getting settled in, understanding your weight, understanding your role, what to expect, and really getting comfortable with what varsity wrestling looks like at the high school level.
That's interesting here.
So are we good on our levels?
I don't know. We'll see. See, I'm moving here. I'm talking, but Steve says I'm low. But we're good.
You sound different in my ear now that you changed it. So Belmont wins at 53-26 on Friday night. Like I said, they did take one forfeit, and we didn't get to see one of those freshmen. That was Bradley Baker. I know a lot of people are excited about him. That's Randy Baker's son. He was in at 113 and took the forfeit. We also got the first look at Cameron Barger, and he lasted just 33 seconds at 106 pounds and got the win. And we also got our first look at Charlie Ferrote, who wrestled a state qualifier. Kevin Tom, and he was defeated 10-6 but led early. And then at 157 pounds, Owen Shane came back and won by fall in the third period. And we're also going to give a shout-out to Owen Shane because I got a picture here from his dad, and he got his first buck out in the woods today. So congratulations to
that's better. I'm on.
Congratulations to Owen on that. And I think he was pretty tickled. You know, what a great microcosm of the way high school wrestling works, right? He goes up in the wrestle-off and takes on Charlie Ferrote for the spot at 150 pounds. You lose the wrestle-off. You're upset with yourself, right? A day later, he finds out that the 157 Sam Wolpert is hurt, and he's going to be wrestling varsity. The kid who beats him at 150 takes a loss. He comes out at 157, picks up the win, and, 3 days after losing the wrestle-off to a guy, you've got one win, and the other guy doesn't. That's just kind of the way that it works sometimes. And it is a good reminder that, you have to be ready to go at all times when you're at that level, whether you win that wrestle-off or whether you lose it. When you're at that level and the coaches are counting on you, they know that they can plug you into that lineup and that you're ready to go.
Cool.
You're really making me nervous.
Steve says we're better now. Steve says we're better now. I've totally changed ports, so
you're working hard.
I'm better. I'm better now.
If I'm sounding goofy, it's because I'm hesitant to go. I hate saying the same thing twice, but
that's a lot of times people don't realize we're on broadcast and you hear us talking about stuff that doesn't really seem like it's related. We're stalling, but trying to find information.
I hit you with
stalling
right
warning.
now. Let's go ahead and play our first round of commercials. We're done with the weigh-ins. We'll be back with the first period A right after this.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today. When faced with the difficult task of
Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season.
Welcome back once again to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly as we're back up for our next segment here.
Yeah, we look closer at that Wawasee match between the Belmont Braves and the Wawasee Warriors. And Wawasee was a good host to us. They set us up right, and Salazar came up and said, hey, I know you're sitting at this table, but if you go to that table over there, they got an internet hookup. So
bingo.
I had my engineer move my laptop, and we had it going. So, and the judge came with me, which made it for a much more interesting night. The match got underway at 190 pounds. Xavier Palacios had no problem in his match. And then at 215, we got a first look at Douglas Hamilton, really. And, he's fresh, he's green. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he is a senior. He is a little bit more composed than I think he was a year or two ago. And, when you're wrestling a state qualifier and you're a first-year varsity guy, anything that you can do not to get pinned, that's what you're looking for. He stays off of his back, rolls through a couple times, fights off. Looked like he was pretty close a couple times. But, gives up the tech fall instead. And, there's going to be a lot of matches where the coaches are going to say, look, give us 4, give us 5.
Yep.
That's all we want from you. So I thought that was a good omen for what we might see there. And Belmont doesn't really have a whole lot of coverage past Palacios. I think Blake Christner and maybe 1 or 2 freshmen are the only guys that they've got heavier than Landon Rich outside of Palacios, Hamilton, and Baker. So they, one injury could really hurt him there. Grady took care of his man real easy, stacked him up. Then, like I said, we got our first look at a couple of freshmen. Barger got the quick pin. Baker took a forfeit. Oliver Farot took on really probably their second or third best wrestler and was pinned at 120. Then Ben Mills was very methodical, I thought, and I know the coaches, Tim talked about him last week, that he's really matured, and I thought that was evident. He was in control. All he wanted to do was get that first takedown, and then he wanted to ride. And I think that's where he really thinks he's going to make his bread and butter this year. And he was patient. He got all the way into the third period. He let, if I remember right, he let the kid pick down and then pinned him from top. And so a third period fall at 126 pounds. And then everything that Coach Myers said about Luke Rubel was absolutely right. He looked like a brand new kid, not a kid, that was a freshman last year and just getting used to varsity action, but somebody who was confident and somebody who's been on the mat a lot. He comes up with a tech fall right away. Henry Farot, I tried writing him down. I don't know how you do this because you're so good at it, but I'm trying to keep my score. I see the takedown. I look down. I write T3. I look back up, and he's already cutting them, and he's taking them back down. He was our post-match interview, and I asked him, how do you decide how many takedowns you get? Well, I'd like to get more, but my dad said go ahead, get rid of them. So I thought that was funny. And then he talked a little bit about his younger brother as well. Gabe Myers looked really, really good at 144. Like I said, everybody was impressed with Charlie Ferrot despite the loss to Cavan Tom. He's going to be somebody that Belmont wrestling fans are going to really enjoy this year. Already talked about Owen Shane. A great win for him, third period fall. And then Austin Manley, 165. That kid was pretty experienced, I think. That's a big weight for Manley.
Oh, yeah, that's big for Manley.
To be at. So he's going to, last year we talked about him taking his lumps and getting to a 500 record. There are going to be some times where that's what you're going to want out of him is a 2-2 day, I think, as a sophomore.
We're used to seeing Gavin Davis at 65 look like an 85-pounder.
For sure. And then there's a couple of junior varsity wrestlers who look pretty good. Landon Sealscott, Cade Cutler, and Braxton Arriaga. All sophomores, all kids who are really putting in a lot of time. They also got wins on the JV level. Now, at Center Grove, like we were talking about, we'll talk with Mike Reiser in a little bit about some of the more interesting ones. But I wanted to point out that at 113 pounds, Connor Maddox is ranked number 1 at 106. He takes out defending state champion Trayvon Ducking of Brownsburg in the finals, 7-2. Last year, Ducking beat Maddox in the semifinals, and last year's runner-up at 106 was third. So that's a pretty
stud loaded.
That's a pretty stacked weight class. And then at 120 pounds, it was a rematch of last year's championship bout at 113, where Case Bell of Brownsburg was your winner over Peyton Shetley of Roncalli. That was 5-3. At 126 pounds, we talked to Roncalli coach Sean Richardson last week. He was talking about Blake Getz, and Blake Getz delivered. He had a win over number 2 ranked Dominic Brown of Center Grove. A couple of familiar names in there that I noticed as well. Ryan Hockaday of Brownsburg and Daniel LaRocca of Center Grove. So those names, last names, familiar because of their older brothers. Royce Malone was your champ at 132 for Center Grove. At 138, Hunter Douglas was ranked 8th to start the year by Indiana Matt, and he was your champ. And he beats Brownsburg's Landon Haynes for the title. So a great match for him and for Coach Oberlin. At 144 pounds, Braylon Reynolds beats number 1 Peyton Hornsby of Center Grove for the title. Defending state champ Tommy Gibbs was your winner at 150. At 157, this was the one that maybe surprised me the most. William Vander Lutgaren was the guy who knocked out Gavin Davis last year in the big boy gym at the Al Smith. And Davis later
injury default?
Yeah, and he was out. If I remember right, he got hurt last year or missed weight or something. He took out defending state champion Parker Reynolds of Brownsburg. And he was ranked number 11 at 165. So we'll have to give Mike a little bit of shtick about that one. If your number 11 guy.
That's his region. He ought to know those guys pretty close.
And I guess maybe that says how difficult 165 may be.
Yeah.
If your number 11 guy can drop down and beat the defending state champ. So shout out to them. At 165, then your champ was Asher Ratliff of Columbus North. He was ranked number 3. A couple of other highlights to go through around the state. The John Hurley was this weekend. Fishers wins that by 15 points over Warren Central. They also had the Bluffton Super Duels this weekend. A couple of scores from Bluffton there. Leo beats Bluffton 40-36. Central Noble beat Bluffton 46-28. Westdell beat Bluffton 42-36. So Bluffton's only win, I think, came against Heritage. That was 54-18. Heritage had 9 guys in the lineup. I know a lot of our listeners are interested in that. And Fremont beat Bluffton 41-33. So a rough start for the Bluffton Tigers. We'll have to look more into those results and see if there's not a little bit missing there. And maybe Coach Duncan will have some insight on that.
We usually have Benji on sometime throughout the year.
He's coming. He's in a later episode here coming up. On the girls' side of things, we want to give shout-outs to some teams and some individual champions. Franklin Central, they win the Ben Davis Invite. They had a full lineup, 14 girls, all 14 scoring 247.5 points. They beat out New Pal at the Mooresville Super Duel. That was kind of the big team tournament this weekend. Crown Point beats Mooresville 48-27 to take first place. Hamilton Southeastern beats Perry Meridian 42-40 to get third. And at the Rochester Invite this weekend, shout out to Isabel Ocampo. She was your champion at 110 pounds. Naima Ghaffar, 4 first-period falls for the title at 135. And I don't know who was seeding this thing. Maybe we'll have to give some more shtick to the Rochester Zebra coaching staff or who was involved. But Aubrey Troutner from Huntington North was seeded, I don't know, 5th or –
Did they forget her name or what?
I don't know. And she tech falls Lanessa Ocampo in the finals at 155, beat the first seed, beat the number 2 seed, and had a really great tournament. And also another name that I noted was Lane Pepler of Rochester, had a really great tournament and dominated at 170 pounds.
Troutner's a beast. Most people don't forget about her.
Yeah, she is impressive to watch, and she's still young. This is just her junior year, if I remember right. She's state runner-up last year. Does that sound right?
And moreover, her dad has the coolest jacket in the state. So
yes, and we love asking her about it. So, yeah, obviously you didn't get to see any wrestling this weekend, but you'll be at Snyder on Tuesday, and we did add in the third period later on in the program. We'll talk more about that Fort Wayne Snyder team. They have, off the top of my head, I think either just 4 or 5 guys returning. So
big squad, though. You sent me the list, and there's like 40, 45 guys on the list.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Toon earlier in the weekend, and he was noting that they had a decent amount of guys out, and he was involved with some elementary duels things later on. So he wasn't able to call in. He wanted to make sure that we knew that we were that he was excited for us to be there on Tuesday and for us to broadcast. So, yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll come back with Coach Duncan after this.
Hello, this is Joel from your local hometown Packaged Liquors. Packaged Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Z-Land. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Packaged Liquors, it's where your friends shop.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Twas the season for giving, and throughout the community, neighbors shopped local with remarkable unity. They found clothes and toys that make children glad, sparkling jewelry for mom, electronics for dad. Why, everything you need to spread holiday cheer is all readily available right now and right here. This reminder to shop local for all your heart yearns comes with Merry Christmas wishes from First Bank of Bern.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille, where it's another episode and another segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, and we're joined by our guest, the head coach of the Southern Wells Raiders, Mr. Jacob Duncan. And how you doing tonight, Coach?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I was look forward to having you on the program, and really enjoy talking about the smallest school in the section. You guys bigger than Union City or smaller?
Maybe about the same. I'm not quite sure what the size difference is roster-wise.
Definitely the smallest school in the ACAC or the NE8, which are kind of our main arenas of coverage. But, yeah, you know, we've talked before on the show about some of the unique challenges that you face. But we'll get to those in a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are numbers-wise, and you've already gotten your season underway.
Yeah, so we got about 16 kids out this year. 4-2 on the season right now, so we kind of started off pretty hot. Hoping it keeps that momentum rolling. Went to the Bronco duels on Saturday and went 3-2 there, and then beat Elwood for our season opener. So we're off to a good start, and let's hopefully keep that rolling.
Now, you said you had 13 weights filled this weekend?
Yep, the only one that I'm really missing right now is 132. So I'm trying to pull some kid out of the hallway to fill that spot, but haven't found anybody yet.
Well, let's jump into that topic because it was something that I wanted to talk about. What does that conversation look like in 2025? I mean, I'm sure it's different than it was in 2005 or in 2015, but what do you say to a kid?
I mean, obviously it's a lot different. I'm not in the school every day besides once the season starts. I'm not an employee. I don't work at the school besides coaching. So usually I just walk around and ask all the guys that are on the team, like, hey, who's close to this weight? Point them out to me. Let me go talk to them. And I always tell everybody the same thing. I was like, give me a week. If you absolutely hate it after a week, I'll never bother you about it again. But you can't tell me you don't like it unless you try it.
Yeah, and it's, in this day and age, it's not an easy thing to just ask somebody to try.
Yeah.
Right? And we were talking earlier off air. Doesn't matter the sport right now. In Indiana, I'm sure it's this way in every state, but there's just so many sports that are just so competitive. And the amount of guys who are out here just trying it for the first time compared to the amount of guys who this is what they eat, sleep, and breathe, all of those types of things. It does make it difficult because it does seem daunting.
Right.
Nobody wants to join a basketball team and then get swatted around and get beat by 50 points every night. That's not any fun. And I think for a lot of guys who are thinking about coming out for the sport, it's kind of the same mindset, right? Like, tell me how I'm not going to get my butt whooped every single night. And I think that's a hard job for a coach.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them they just don't understand what it takes to be out there and be a great wrestler. I mean, all those guys are at the state champs. I mean, they're living, breathing. That's all they do. And most of my kids, I go pull multiple sport athletes because, heck, you already got a little bit of shape under you. Let's get you turned into a wrestling shape and get you out there ready to roll.
Some people know Coach Carl Rich, the cross-country coach for Belmont girls, and his motto always used to be, and they put it on the back of their shirts, it'll be fun. Mm-hmm. Well, people who run across country know that it's not fun. So he did a good job of selling it. He tried to tell people, hey, it'll be fun. Well, guess what? Running 3.5 miles is not fun.
Yep.
But somehow you got to make it fun, or else it gets stale.
My motto is, I tell every kid, we'll be one of the most fun coaches you ever had until you get on the bad side. Then we'll figure it all out after that.
But, we were talking earlier in the last segment about a young man who's a senior for Belmont this year. Doesn't have a whole lot of athletic background. Hasn't wrestled a ton. He wrestled one varsity match last year. Ended up not completing the end of last year because he works a ton and his family needs him and those types of things. But he almost did that with the knowledge that I'm coming back next year.
Yep.
Even though I'm quitting early. But, it's really difficult for a coach to focus on some of your best guys, but then also try to motivate some of those lower guys into understanding that you too have a role. Like, if you're going to end this year 7-27, you will still be useful to us.
Yep.
And that's really, really hard. Some coaches, I think, really struggle with that kind of coaching, and not necessarily the mental side, but the motivational side.
Yeah, and I tell all those kids the same thing, too. Is like, I will teach you from knowing absolutely nothing to having somewhat of a grasp of what's going on by the time you get out there. I mean, I'm not going to throw you out there blind. You've never had a practice. You're going to have a grasp of what wrestling is, what it takes, and then you're going to get out there and go after it.
Because let's be honest, the kids who are really self-motivated and athletic enough to compete and help you are probably already playing a sport. The kids that you're trying to motivate are the ones who are, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And then you got to say, there's a spot on this team for you. Not just we need a body, right? And you really, and for some of the kids who don't have a lot of experience in wrestling, you almost have to explain to them the sport. Like, hey, 3 Saturdays from now, we're going to wrestle 3 teams. 2 of these teams don't even have a guy at your weight.
Yeah.
And we need you because we might win the whole dual meet because you were there.
All you need is shoes and a headgear.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, with our roster this year, I mean, we have 1 first-year senior and 1 first-year freshman. Everybody else on the team's been around. They know what it takes. They've been doing it. And those new guys, I explained them what the scoring was. I explained them how the matches work, and they got out there, and they delivered for us this past weekend. They helped us out get a couple W's that we needed there.
Well, I got a couple of names written down. You'll have to correct me if somebody didn't come out from last year's team. Briggs Fichter.
Yep, he's back out.
What weight is he going to be?
He is sitting at 106 for us this year.
Okay.
The name will carry him through.
Yeah. Yep.
What about Caleb Boots?
Yep, he is sitting at 120 for us this year.
Okay. What grade are those 2 in?
They're both sophomores this year.
Okay. What kind of growth have you seen from them from 9th grade to 10th grade?
The biggest thing that I've seen out of both of them, I mean, Briggs just got his first matches this past weekend. At Elwood, they didn't have a 106 for him, so he kind of went out there, took the forfeit. But their confidence alone. I mean, we're finally getting out there. We're trusting our shots. We're trusting our offense. We're trusting our defense. We're not going out there and wrestling timid anymore.
And talking about recruiting kids and motivating them is one thing. It also takes some coaching to get through to some 106-pounders on those days, where everybody else is getting 5 matches, and your 106-pounder is sitting around just getting his hand raised 3 times, and he only has 2 bouts. You got to keep an eye on him too. Yeah,
and the nice part, I mean, obviously it sucks missing a weight class there at 132, but I've been able to, unfortunately, if I can kind of bump those lighter guys around, find them those matches, because not every small school has a 106.
Now, on the coaching side of things, you mentioned earlier that you're without an assistant right now.
Yeah, so it's myself and my 1.5-year-old out there running around right now. He bring him to practice with me. He's going with me tomorrow. He'll start walking around the mat, point out the guys that aren't working real hard, and call them out. And I'm like, all right, let's get it going again. Come on.
So as we tell all the coaches, you can use this program as your platform. And so you can go out and advertise looking for an assistant wrestling coach at Southern Wells High School.
So if
the pay's fantastic.
Anybody out there wants to come coach wrestling and yell at some high school kids, please come on out.
It is a paid position.
It is.
You've got a paid position open. So young guys, and we facilitated kind of a connection a couple of years ago with A.J. Bradley and Cole Mendez. A.J. Bradley reached out and said, hey, do you know anybody who's at Ball State who would want to coach? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure this kid's going to Ball. And
so if there's anybody out there.
He's all in.
Anybody out there, you know where to find me.
Yeah, so anybody over there in the Wells County area, that would be a great opportunity for you to get in. Let's continue down this list. What about Jaron Frauger and Lane Dollar?
Jaron did not return this year. And then Lane Dollar, he is sitting at 157 for us right now.
Okay. What about Colton Boone?
Colton Boone is our 150. Waiting on him to get cleared. He ruptured his spleen about 2.5
that's not what you want to mess around with.
Yeah, so he's not cleared for another couple of weeks. He tried to practice for a little bit and then decided to tell me after that, hey, I'm not cleared yet. So he's sitting back right now, and we'll hopefully get him out there. He's a kid that just wants to be out there no matter what. Doesn't care how hurt he is. He wants to go.
That's the first thing coaches learn. Don't listen to the kid.
Yeah, his dad finally caught me a week into practice. He's like, hey, he's not cleared yet. And I'm like, oh, well, that's great to know. I wish I would have found that out sooner or later.
Last 2 names on here, Caden Burkott and Bladen Schomburg.
Yes, they are both back this year. They're both sitting about 205 pounds right now. So Schomburg's kind of going our 215, and then Burkott's been going 285 for us. And those two were key aspects to us on Saturday. Caden Burkott, weighed in on Saturday morning at 205 pounds and went out there and absolutely battled all day long at heavyweight and ended up going 3-2 for us.
Yeah, and that's tough too because, like you said, with just one coach, there's a lot of coaching that needs to go into a 205-pound heavyweight because they got to approach things a little bit differently. And I guess the one positive is if they're pretty close to each other in weight, then they're probably pretty good practice partners with each
those
other.
Two are beating up on each other all the time, and you get those two in a room together, you will be laughing for hours. They're great guys to have around and great guys to have on the team.
Now, how many of your returning 6 guys played football this fall?
5 of them.
Okay. Did you get a chance to – what's your relationship with the football program and coaching staff there?
So Coach Blaker has been doing a great job out there. He has got a weights program running for all those boys, and I think that is the biggest aspect that helps out any school is getting kids in the weight room. And they've been going to morning weights. They go to afternoon weights when they're not in season. Football, it's obviously a grind, and those guys are getting bigger. And that's the biggest aspect that I've noticed with all of our guys this year, too, is just the amount of time they spent in the weight room over this past season.
And I spent a lot of time talking to all the coaches in the ACAC, and they've all commended Coach about how that program's starting to come around. They said that they were competitive this year.
Yeah, they're right in there on all those fights. There's all those close games. They're right there. Just need that little bit to go over the hump and get it taken care of.
Well, and when they got their first win, everybody kind of wrote them off as it was a one-off. And then they won a second game. And then I saw even some of the Fort Wayne prognosticators pick against them the next close game that they have. They win 3 games this year?
I don't remember. I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah. So
it sounds better. They won 3.
Yeah. They won 3. You're quizzing me.
It's great to see them. Nobody wants to see the lack of success that they had a year or 2 ago.
Yeah. And he's just getting such a good buy-in now, too. Those kids are.
And you're talking about a lack of assistant coaching. He effectively becomes an off-season assistant coach for you.
100%.
Because he's putting time into your boys. And working on a lot of the things that you need them to be ready for wrestling season.
Right, and then so once December 1st hits, he starts running morning weights, and a lot of my kids are showing up and going to those morning weights, and then we're coming to practice and getting better at wrestling.
Now, who would you call your leaders on the team this year?
So Malachi Capper, who's not on that list for you. Riker Dollar, who's not on that list for you. Briggs, Fichter, Schomber. I mean, pretty much all those guys that you named off are guys I'm looking to this year. All my seasoned guys that have been here, been around for a while, just really want those guys to kind of step up in that leadership role. And I've put a lot of them into it as captains for our program, and they've made a turnaround just from where they were last year to who they are this year, off the mat.
And obviously, when you're talking about leadership, you're talking about goal setting and that kind of thing. Have your captains identified what their goals are for this year?
Yeah, so we actually sat down and we all went around and wrote down goal sheets this year. And a lot of theirs is we want to win some tournaments. We want to get top 3 of the ACAC. And the collective group was we all want to get to Team State. I was a part of a team that was at Team State and know where we can be and know what our program has the opportunity to do. And everybody's buying in. That's what we're trying to get back to this year.
Now, looking at that Team State list, I have written down here to talk about your schedule. Who do you have identified that's on your schedule that you think is going to help you make a case for a Team State bid?
We're going to see Northfield later on in the year. I think that's right around actually the first of the year in there in January. We'll go see Alexandria Monroe. We're going to go visit those guys.
When do you wrestle Alexandria?
I don't think that's towards the end of the season either. So not as early as we'd want, but and then we'll go see Northside again too, just kind of those other duels mixed in there, but really looking to the conference, obviously. I mean, there's a powerhouses of schools right there that if we go put up some good numbers, we help that buy-in and help that bid.
Yeah, for sure. And with the 1A field the way it is, you have to coach your kids to understand, look, it's not necessarily about beating Adams Central or beating South Adams. We need to scratch and claw, literally maybe, for every single point that we can, because you may find yourself against some team from down on the Ohio River, and you've got I don't know what's a good example score, right? You've got a 36-24 loss against the number 2 team, and they've got a 81-0 loss to number 3. Right. And that's the only thing that you have together, and it could come down to that.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we've installed a new mindset with our team this year too, and this is something I've driven across on every match and every practice that we ever have. When we go out there, win or lose, I want our opponents to say they never want to wrestle a kid from Southern Wells again. I want us to go out there, leave it all on the mat, every single opportunity that we get, and just go be dogs at it.
Yeah, and that's a great goal. And obviously, if you've got good leadership and shared leadership, not just 1 or 2 guys who are studs on your team and trying to drag the other guys along with them. But if you've got a bunch of guys, 16 of them, maybe 10 of them are roughly at the same level, and they're all bringing each other forward at the same time, I think that's exactly what you need. What kind of opportunities have your guys taken away from the team as far as extra training opportunities? What's kind of available to you guys?
I mean, we didn't really get a chance to do a whole lot of off-season stuff this year, just with my work schedule at Farm Bureau and just running around all the time. We did a couple open mats and just some practices here and there. Just some of the open duels that we wanted to go to in the summer just didn't line up with a lot of schedules. But all in all, the intensity in our practice room has just continually gone up in the 4 seasons that I've been there. They all rally around each other. I mean, they know like those mats need to be rolled out, set up by 3:15, and we're stretching and we're getting running. I mean, we're going to go run 5-6 laps, 10 minutes, whatever it is, and we're getting straight to practice starting stances of motion. I mean, we're moving the entire time. We're not going to stand around, not going to wait, because I got 2 hours with these guys. Those 2 hours are going to be scheduled out, and we're going to figure it out.
A 2-hour intense practice is way better than a 3-hour practice that's laid back.
Yep, I agree.
Well, we'll talk more about the Southern Wells Wrestling Program, and we'll talk a little bit about some new developments. We'll also talk about the ACAC right after these messages.
If you're serious about taking your wrestling to the next level, then Warrior RTC Wrestling Club is the place to be. Every Sunday at 4:30 and Wednesday at 6, boys and girls from different elementary, middle, and high schools come together to build skills, confidence, and lifelong friendships. With high-level experienced coaches and a positive training atmosphere, every Warrior learns to work hard and have fun doing it. Whether you're chasing your first medal or your next state title, Warrior RTC will help you in your relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Visit online at warriorrtc.com to learn more about the year-round wrestling opportunities and train like a champion.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Marple, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for another segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly. And Dane, we heard a couple of Warrior RTC commercials there, and it's interesting to hear that Coach Meyer's talking about that Wade McClurg from the Warrior RTC is in the room as volunteer this year. And I tell you, how do you get – Jacob can't find an assistant coach, and he's got a guy that runs a Warrior training center as a volunteer coach.
Well, a lot of it, we've talked about this before in so many different sports. So much of Indiana high school athletics comes down to geography. There's, some of these small schools, they're small schools for a reason, is because they're not next to these centers of population. And where Belmont benefits from being so close to Indiana Tech, it's the same reason why Belmont doesn't benefit in some of the other sports, is because they're not close enough to some of the big centers. It's the same reason why the Munciana schools are so good at volleyball. And the teams down, over by Lafayette or even up in the northwest corner really struggle long-term because they don't have access to some of those big clubs. And it just speaks once again to the state of where high school sports are right now. You have to be all in if you want to compete. We were joking off air about there ought to be a division, the I don't care division and the I do care division in some of these sports, because there are some kids who would love to come out and compete at a varsity level against other schools and have the opportunity to really compete. But it seems like in so many of these sports now, you get in the varsity team and you look at the schedule, and it's like, how are we going to compete with any of these guys? Because they're all, single sport athletes that are playing for a club or playing year round. And there's less and less opportunities for, you think of the Priest girls at South Adams. Like, those girls they jumped into a sport and they played it, and they loved it, and they played it with their teammates and their classmates, and then they moved on to the next sport. Now, they were still playing out of season, but bringing that kind of atmosphere in, it doesn't happen.
A single A school like that, a lot of times those specific sport athletes cannot play club sports because it interferes with supporting their high school teams.
Yeah, it's hard enough. I've got two boys who are playing club soccer right now, and it's hard enough to find them opportunities and to fit it into our schedule just to go to Fort Wayne from where we are. And so you're talking about Southern Wells trying to start a boys soccer team this year and only having 3 guys. Well, where are they going to go play outside of the high school season?
Right.
And that's tough. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have are any of these guys involved in anything in the offseason individually?
Not really. I mean, all those guys are either farming or they're at football weights getting ready, or they're running cross country to get ready for the next sport. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is at Southern Wells. I mean, any guy that's on a team, they're playing 2 or 3 sports already. I was the same way when I graduated out there 5 years ago. I mean, we played baseball and we played football. As soon as football's over, we're geared up for wrestling season. Wrestling's over, it's time to get ready for baseball season.
And I think we talk about this a lot on this show and just in casual conversation. A lot of that comes down then to you framing it for the fans, the school, the administration, and making people understand what your expectations are and what you see as success. Because, wrestling's fun if you have a team full of guys who are 18 and 18.
Right.
And they're scrapping. It doesn't have to be, you sending 3 guys to state once every 10 years and then the other 9 years stink.
And that's my biggest thing is, I know we're not going to go out there and win every single duel that we ever have. As long as we go out there, compete, leave it all on the mat, we can walk out saying that, hey, we did what we needed to do today. We left it all out there. We finished hard.
And you need to build your schedule with a mix of guys you know you can't beat with guys that you know you can beat. And it's somewhere in the middle because you guys can't go out there and get beat every week and keep their spirits up.
And that's why I like opening with that Bronco duel. I mean, we wrestle Elwood to start the season, then we go right to that Broncos duel, and there's a good mixture of teams like, hey, we know we can go out there and compete. We can beat these guys. We got a couple of these tough ones. We're going to Homestead this week. We're going to see a lot of those really great teams that we wouldn't have seen normally. I mean, we're going to go out there. They're going to get a mixture of all different types of talent, and we're going to come out better from it.
And that's where you having the continuity of being there the last couple of years is so important. And you've got to be able to be forward thinking, knowing what you've got coming up, knowing what you've got now, who to schedule, what to look at for next year.
Right.
All of those conversations need to be had, because if you step away at the end of this year and they bring somebody else to do it, he's not going to know.
He's going to have no idea what the aspect of it all looks like.
And so that's why I think some of the coaching continuity is so important at trying to build programs, because you really do have to build and have to go year after year and make sure that things are set up that way. So why don't you tell us, we'll go back to the ACAC, tell us your big news about Southern Wells Wrestling.
Well, so apparently starting 2026, we're building an auxiliary gym is what I've been hearing around the world, and we're going to get a wrestling room finally. So no more rolling the mats up every day, no more rolling them out, moving cafeteria tables. Thank you to our janitors. I don't know what we would ever do without them, with them clearing the tables every day. No more, just we can go out, show up, let's stretch, let's wrestle, let's get after it. No more fighting over practice times and all that other fun stuff.
That is very, very cool. That's going to be a game changer for you, because once again, it's like anything else. I recently visited my alma mater at Butler, and I was just shocked at all the new buildings and all the new residence halls and all the amenities that are available. And I even talked to somebody from the university, and they're like, yeah, kids aren't going to come to this university and stay in an old school dorm.
Yeah.
They're just not going to do it. And it's the same thing with training facilities.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to open up the opportunity for us to have a lot more off-season stuff rather than, basketball's running their summer conditioning. You know, we store our mats down at the bottom of the Raider Dome, so we're carrying those 3-piece mats up the stairs every single day, and I'm not going to carry those things out to put them back in the cafeteria in the middle of the summer. So if we can't find a gym space there, we're just kind of out of luck there.
You know, Coach, we talk about the ACAC. You know, there's been some pretty significant changes in the ACAC with coaching at Adams Central, and we talked a little bit off air. I mean, Coach Landis was your coach at Southern Wells, and with Coach Landis taking over the reins with another assistant that we're very familiar with, and Coach Myers, what do you think that that change of pace can do for that program, you being as familiar with Coach Landis as you have been?
It's only going to make them better. I mean, they weren't a bad program to begin with, and I've wrestled under my entire life. I mean, that's who taught me wrestling and who taught me who to be and who I aspire to be as a coach. So obviously, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We still run our practices very similar to what he used to do for us too, because that's all I've ever known. That's how I've grown up. That's what made me understand the sport wrestling was Landis.
Now, what's your relationship with him as far as asking for advice, talking, that kind of thing?
I reach out to him all the time. My brother-in-law is a sophomore at over at AC. He was playing on the football team. He's on the wrestling team. We chit-chat about it all the time. I see Landis at every event. We went to a lot of the games this year and just casual conversations. I mean, we just had him at our wedding 3 years ago. So he's the guy that I aspire to be. When I go out there and coach and when I be a leader and a mentor for these kids, he's who I'm trying to be.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure he recognizes the role that he plays in your life. And we also talked about, some of the best leaders in big organizations, whether it's a school or anything, are often reluctant. And I think Coach Landis, not that he was completely reluctant, but, I think he recognizes that he's the leader of this Adams Central program, and it falls on him, and he's taken it seriously. And I've already heard from a couple of Adams Central parents who are like, yeah, things have been ramped up. Like, it's serious. More boys are excited.
Right.
There's more boys out, and so I think it's going to be a great thing for their program. And, when Adams Central is really good and Belmont's really good, the rest of the conference is better because of them.
Right. Right.
And trying to catch up with them and aspire to be them and aspire to beat them. And that's what builds rivalries, and that's what, conference races and conference tournaments are all about.
Yeah. And he's all in all, that's who I want to be. When I go out there and coach, that's the goal. That's who I want to be as Landis.
And he's not one of those guys that, I refereed his matches and I refereed for him when he was a coach. And he's not one of those guys, he's not yelling and screaming and being all excited and over the top. And some of these guys that just they step over the bounds. They're those guys that, they coach, they're intense, but they keep their cool, and they're just really good coaches in that way.
Yeah, and that's the way I try to be too, because you never know what kids are going through in their lives, and there's a lot of kids that need wrestling more than we need them out on the wrestling mat. So there's no point in sitting there screaming and yelling at them. They're out there to be better and try to get away from something.
Well, let's talk a little bit in our last few minutes of this segment before we go to our next break, specifically about Wells County Wrestling. Where do you see the Raiders in the three-team race for champions of Wells County this year?
My golly, we want to be up there. We want to win the whole thing.
I mean, I think it's going to be super competitive between the three of you.
Yeah, and I mean, we've always had close duels with Bluffton, and just we don't get to see Norwell a whole lot till we get to the sectional. I mean, that's the only time we really see them. Besides, when we get up to the Garrett Invite, we'll see them there. Just go take it to them. We want everybody to think of Wells County Wrestling, think of Southern Wells. We don't want to think of Bluffton. We don't want to think of Norwell. It's Southern Wells Wrestling. That's what it's all about.
Now, when we talk about intensity, Benji over at Bluffton, that little tiger, he's pretty intense.
He is.
He still thinks he's in high school, and he wrestles just like he was when he was in high school and college.
I try to do the same, and I realize I'm 23. I might not be the youngest man in the world, but by golly, I feel a lot older than 23.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to some of those Wells County matches. I know that the Norwell and Bluffton duel is always a big deal, and I know that you guys always wrestle Bluffton for the ACAC side of things. I guess I didn't realize that Norwell and Southern Wells don't wrestle a weeknight duel.
No, we don't really ever see them until we get to Garrett or sectionals. That's about it.
Got you. Now, that Garrett Invite is the same day as Team State, is that correct?
I think so. I think it's the 18th.
I believe so, yeah. So, well, we certainly wish you luck on your quest to get one of those 4 at-large bids in 1A. And there's a lot of teams vying for it. The email went out this past week.
Yep.
Any wrestling coach that's out there listening, the layout's pretty standard. You've got your 8 teams in 1A, and 2A, and 3A. There's 4 spots left in each of those classes. And if you want a spot, you better be vying for it. You better be politicizing it and publicizing it and saying, hey, I think we belong because we did this. And make sure that your results are on Indiana Mat. Make sure that you're sending information to Greg Ratliff, to myself, to Joe Caprino. And, it's not that the loudest person's going to get the seat, but the more information we have about your team, and if you think you deserve it, then the more information you got, the more it's going to help.
It's no more evident than a couple years ago when South Adams wanted it and they weren't in. They went in, they put Belmont on their schedule, put Cal on their schedule, and they had some really good matches against those teams. And I can guarantee you that's what won their seat into the team state that year.
For sure. And the thing is, you also talk to your boys, okay, if we miss out this year, here's why we missed out, and here's why we have to do everything that we can when we get to sectional to win that 5th place match.
Right.
To make sure that we do not miss weight.
Right.
To make sure that we have every single weight filled for that weight class bonus that comes in there, because we want Southern Wells to be considered the 7th or 8th best team in 1A when the end of the season's over for next year's team. How many seniors do you have?
3.
Okay, so you're only going to lose 3 guys next year. So that's another, when we're talking about motivating kids and making sure that you're framing it in the right way, to look at it that way as well.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Coach, and we look forward to seeing you here at the show in the future.
Thank you.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and Family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Twas the season for giving, and throughout the community, neighbors shopped local with remarkable unity. They found clothes and toys that make children glad. Sparkling jewelry for mom, electronics for dad. Why, everything you need to spread holiday cheer is all readily available right now and right here. This reminder to shop local for all your heart yearns comes with Merry Christmas wishes from First Bank of Bird.
Welcome back once again to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly. We are at the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille and weekly specials, and I've talked to the management here, and they are going to make sure that we get posted on their website the specials of the week so we can help get that information out for all of our fans that want to come out here to the show. And, hey, we want as many people here as we can be in person, but our next guest, we cannot have him here in person because it's a little bit too long of a drive because I made that drive this past weekend. But we have the ranker, the number one ranker of the Indiana Mat on the line, Mike Reiser. How you doing tonight, Mikey?
Hey, good, man. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're good.
Well, Mike, we briefly touched on what happened at Center Grove this weekend. Why don't you give us your take?
That's a lot of really good wrestling. For early in the season, that first weekend out, I mean, you have three pretty good teams, and you have a lot of individuals in there. I mean, obviously Center Grove and Brownsburg right off the bat. I mean, you have a couple state champs going down, a couple guys that were nationally ranked, going down the wire, one lost. It's not a bad weekend in Indiana wrestling.
Now, I was going through the results, and I even texted the group chat, and I said, well, where's the team scores? And Joe said, well, there was no team scores taken. And then I thought about that on the way here, and I thought, there's a lot of people who got a lot of varying opinions on the state of high school wrestling today. The big three right now are just dominating. But I think it says a lot about what the aims of those coaching staffs are when they get involved in a tournament like this one. And, team score be damned. We just want to get our guys up against the best guys in the state and get better.
Well, and not just Coach Swain and Coach Snyder. You got, Homestead going down there. And I know they were really trying to get into a team state last year. They were able to get in, but those are the matches you want, especially for your top guys. Those are matches you could see at state. Westfield's obviously a strong school out of the Newcastle semi-state. Those are the matches that you're going to want to get. So I think not just for those top 1%, but getting those guys. And then I like that they were able to bring a B team, too, a varsity, too, because I think there's a lot of guys at those two schools, especially Center Grove and Brownsburg, that would be varsity in a lot of wrestling rooms in the state. I mean, you guys have had that in the past at Belmont, where there's probably been guys that are state medalist level guys, behind guys that are state medalist level varsity guys.
So, Mike, not to sway too far from it, but have you listened to the intro of the show and realized that there's a very important, famous voice on our intro?
I haven't heard the intro. I go right into the meat of it, guys. I like to get to the first period.
Well, we certainly are glad that you're making your appearance. I wanted to talk a little bit about rankings. We talked about it a lot over the last 2 weeks, and it's been in the minds of everybody online, on Facebook, on the actual website, that kind of thing. But just walk us through the whole process of how you go about getting those early preseason rankings and just what all goes into it.
Yeah, so we're really lucky in the state of Indiana that we have some really good preseason tournaments. Obviously, Indiana Mat puts one on, and you can get an idea, but those night before weigh-ins are different, so you kind of get to see the weights. Joe doesn't hide that. So, if you have a guy that's telling me, I don't know, Timmy Smith said, hey, I'm going to wrestle 106 I did last year, and I seen his weight was 124 at IHPO, I got a good idea he's probably not going 106, right? So that helps. And then we have some really good coaches that have really been, good with getting information to us and helping us out. And just kind of, there's some really high-level teams, and then you kind of go through some summer stuff and see where those guys are at. And then you're also, with the USA bracketing now and all the people being posted in there, I think that's been really exciting now. There's some weight discrepancies on some of that stuff that those guys are going to do. But, I had to text Mama Rio and be like, hey, they have him at 144. I thought you told me he was going 132. And she said, no, it's still 32, but that's just what the USA bracketing put him in as.
Yeah, obviously a lot of guys are going on USA bracketing and trying to look up some of the teams and seeing what they're listed at, and that's not necessarily what they're weighing in at. And especially with some teams having a decent amount of matches in already, other teams not wrestling at all, it's a little bit different to try to get an idea of who's going to go where. I know from your perspective on the weight class thing, I feel like, especially in the middleweights, sometimes you just got to take a guy, look at what weight he was last year, and add a weight, and then wait and see where he comes out.
Yeah, especially like 6 probably through 50, I would say. Like those guys usually go up a weight class or two. Past that, those guys are not jumping as much as the lower weights. Obviously, they're probably more grown. But like you'll get a couple guys, like you see a guy like Hank Redmond going from like 175 to heavyweight, which is pretty surprising. But not always like that. But I think that's a big part of it. It's just exciting to see where some of those weight classes are going to go. And like obviously, it's right before Thanksgiving, you're going to have some guys moving around. I mean, that 150 weight is pretty nasty up top. I mean, you got two national level guys that have hardware from Fargo. I'm assuming at some point some guys will be like, maybe I'll eat a little bit and go 57 or eat a little less and try 44.
Yeah, definitely a lot of guys feeling each other out and trying to decide what this looks like. And I think especially in November, sometimes it's just, okay, I'm going to give this a try, see how I look at this weight, and then, come closer to Christmas, decide what weight we're going to go.
Well, and there's some teams that haven't even got their guys. I mean, Adams Central just got their guys back. They played Andrea on Friday, which it sounds like, that's turning into a nice little rivalry for the semi-states. But, those guys are just getting in the room. I would be tough to ask. Like, they have an idea of what they want to wrestle, but I'm sure a lot of those guys are probably still, a little heartbroken from football. And, that could change. I mean, Maryville doesn't. I know Maryville has a lot of guys that play football also. They're going to state. Talking to Coach Maldonado, they're like, well, this guy's going here, but if he doesn't go here, then this happens. And so you just, some of it's just a guess. But speaking back to the Facebook thing, they were getting pretty heated about some of that stuff. It's crazy to me. The same people that always say, like, oh, man, rankings don't mean anything are also the same people that are really upset when the rankings aren't what they want them to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of commentary, and sometimes it just comes down to ignorance simply from, I don't have that information. You're making a claim based on something that I didn't know about. If I would have known that, then I could have done something different. And I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that you can only go based on the information that you have in front of you and that's collected on Indiana Mat and all those types of things.
Yeah, and not to not to get on a soapbox and be angry, but some coaches don't want to give you that information. I mean, there's coaches that hold out their lineups for team state until the last minute for you, and you're doing the seeding and you're trying to put together the best product, and these guys are trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. There's definitely guys who think they know where they're going to get seated, and they'd rather be seated lower. And so they're looking at that thinking, well, if I withhold some information, they may actually drop us to a spot where I get on the other side of the bracket and be better off. I was, thinking about this, and my perspective has changed as I've gotten older. I got a little bit more gray. You're just – the build-up should be the build-up, right? You should try to win. You want to win. But, at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys in the state, 1 through probably 7, that have a good chance to win state titles. You should be wanting to improve daily. We kind of talked about it a little bit in the group text. I'm not going to, say what I was saying, but I think there's far too often people are trying to win today in November and not as worried about winning in February. And I think that's, a problem statewide. And you see some of those teams we were talking about, the Center Grove thing, it'd have been easy for those guys to be like, nah, we're not doing that. We're going to see you guys at sectionals or at regionals, and we'll see you guys at team state. We're not letting you guys get the tape. And those guys are like, nah, we need to be better and, keep improving.
Now, one last topic before we move on to our next segment, and that was transfers. We usually rely on you pretty heavily to name drop for us some of the names that, we're pretty local trying to cover the Fort Wayne area here, but I was looking at the updated list on Indiana Mat. Tell us a little bit about Aiden Carver.
Aiden Carver is really good. I was surprised he was wrestling at Tulsa this past weekend, which is a huge event, preseason event, I guess, because Cathedral hasn't wrestled yet. I think he was a Delta kid forever. And I thought, up until this summer, Delta was a lock, and now he's going to be at Cathedral, which, Cathedral has a huge tradition also.
And what weight is he, Mike?
I'm sorry, what?
What weight is he?
He's going to be at 120. He wrestled 109 at IHPO, but it sounds like he's not going to want to cut weight. He's just going to throw his hat in the mix with Case Bell and Peyton Shutley, a couple guys that have state titles under their belts. So he's really good. I watched him this summer. We went to ISWA and we just kind of went to see how he was going to do in that like 16U division. And he wrestled the kid that's at Mater Dei, Spencer McCammon. And I really did think like, man, like this is going to be a really good match. And he kind of poured it on pretty good. He's the real deal. Like he's going to come in. That's a really tough weight class, but you're like talking like Zeke Seltzer, Jesse Mendez level good coming into high school with the national accolades. And then now he's trying to jump into a weight similar to what Jesse did as a freshman with Curtis and Watts with a couple champs in there. That's going to be a pretty interesting matchup.
Now, Indiana also lost a guy to a different state in LT Hawkins.
Yeah, well, they lost 2 guys, 2 really high-level guys with Kressel also. Whalen going out to Iowa early was kind of a surprise to us, and I think that's probably some guys in that area were probably pretty happy because he's the real deal too. LT Hawkins, he's not going to wrestle in Illinois. He's not currently at Mount Carmel. Talking with Bill, I think he's kind of in a transition. I think he's looking to get into some MMA stuff. So they, it's disappointing because I think there's a lot of talent there, but everyone has a journey, and his journey is going to be the MMA route. So maybe we'll be watching the UFC, and he made the right choice someday.
Now, a lot of Belmont fans are interested in that New Prairie team. James Hartleroad is somebody that we're familiar with from his days in the NE8. He's now at New Prairie, as is Kingston Chavez from Penn.
So there was some, and I'm not, like, don't hold me to this. I think with the IHSA rules changing, it's kind of weird. And, I mean, you guys have a closer relationship with Robert Falcon, so I'm sure he can discuss it a little bit further. I feel like that pass link rule has been really hammered. There's been a lot of pass link causes in the transfer portal, so I don't believe right now currently Kingston's going to be able to wrestle. And they also had a kid come from California, from Clovis, that was around a 12 kid that I'm hearing that possibly wasn't eligible either due to transfer because he attended a camp one time.
Interesting. Yeah, and obviously you can talk about that in the preseason all you want, but even then when the season starts and they're wrestling in the room, you don't necessarily know if they're eligible until that team steps on the mat and wrestles.
And those are pretty high-level guys. Like, those are like very recognizable names in Indiana wrestling, and I'm sure it happens at a lot of levels across all sports. But the wrestling community is so tight, so you hear that, and you're disappointed because Kingston is a senior, and you would have really hoped that he could get on the mat and compete. His dad's a really good guy, good kid. So, it's disappointing. But Nick Freeze, who also transferred to New Prairie from Mishawaka, he'll be eligible right away, so he'll be in the lineup, which is good for those guys. They're stacked. They're pretty good, depending on if Fernandez will be able to wrestle, but 44, 50, 57, 65, they're about as good as anybody in the state.
Well, Mike, we want to thank you for coming on the show, and we always look forward to hearing from you. And we do have to give you one little bit of shtick. Our best friend, the judge, he says that you got Grady too low. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's what he said on Friday. So I'm just saying.
I don't disagree. I try to be pretty fair with it, but like that heavyweight, heavyweight's pretty stacked. That's a good weight class. That's a really good weight. There's a lot of really good weights. Someone texted me. I hadn't talked to him in a while, and they said 120 is probably one of the best weights they've seen in years.
Well, Mikey, just keep in mind that the judge's favorite saying is "Let's make Grady great again." So.
Oh, he's good. He's really good. There's some really good heavyweights, and what's scary is there's some young, really good heavyweights.
So, Mikey, when the show's over, go into the listen to the first 2 minutes of the show, and you'll hear that there's a famous name on our intro that we've been able to sneak in there. And I'm going to try and tune in tomorrow night to Guerrilla Radio because I hear that there's another special guest possibly on there tomorrow night that we both know and love. So it's been good talking to you, and hang in, and we'll see you down the road, okay?
I appreciate it. I think we're ranking like possible matches for this like RAF. If you guys have any, like throw me a text. I'm down to my last spot. I got 4 pretty good ones. So.
All right, Mikey. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you down the road. All right.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
That's been Mike Reiser from Indiana Matt, and let's send it around on commercials. We'll be back with another segment right after this on WZBD's High School Wrestling Weekly.
If you're serious about taking your wrestling to the next level, then Warrior RTC Wrestling Club is the place to be. Every Sunday at 4:30 and Wednesday at 6, boys and girls from different elementary, middle, and high schools come together to build skills, confidence, and lifelong friendships. With high-level experienced coaches and a positive training atmosphere, every Warrior learns to work hard and have fun doing it. Whether you're chasing your first medal or your next state title, Warrior RTC will help you in your relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Visit online at warriorrtc.com to learn more about the year-round wrestling opportunities and train like a champion.
Hello, this is Joel from your local hometown Package Liquors. Package Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Z-Land. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Package Liquors, it's where your friends shop. Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah, we move into the third period, and one of the things that I'd like to do throughout the year is to do a little bit of storytelling, and I titled this Name Dropping with Rex. And the background for this is that here in the December home meets, you're going to have the opportunity, Belmont fans will, to pick up the next edition of the Belmont High School Wrestling Media Guide. And it's got lots of tidbits in there and a new look from the last couple of years. An updated leaderboard for wins and falls and win percentage, along with all the other information that you'd expect. Some really cool profile questions and pictures of everybody on the Belmont team, managers included. And then a look at the season, last season. Just a lot of different interesting things on there. But one thing that I'm most excited about is a review of the last 10 years. So 66, 76, 86, and so on. And so I thought I'd start with the 1976 team. And my thought process going through the media guide this year was, we talked so much about the guys, the great guys like you who wrestled in the championship bout and, that first, second, third, fourth place. And don't get me wrong, those guys deserve as much credit as possible. But I think there's a lot of guys, when we're talking about building a program and understanding the history and the role that it plays, I think it's so important for some of these guys on the team to really understand just how meaningful it is for them to be a part of the program. And I think that extends to them understanding, that guy, he wrestled at Belmont, and a lot of them don't realize it. And they don't realize the great careers that they had, or how difficult it was in 1976 to make it to the state finals compared to today and those types of things. So anyways, I picked out some names who had great seasons and that were members of the 76 team.
Well, let's at least mention the guys in 66 that we passed over. Fred Zwick, Tom Bly, Dan Jergy. I was only 5 years old, so we're going to pass by those because I didn't know any of those guys.
And I added them on there because I wasn't really sure, Ryan Fawbush is a great example this year. Coach Myers talked about him last week. I saw him Friday night. I saw him Saturday coaching by himself in the chair. There's a lot of guys who come back and contribute to the program. And so I wasn't sure if you were familiar with any of those names.
Not those guys.
From your career. But there is some information in there. And if anybody has any stories, I would love to hear them on those guys, specifically Fred Zwick, Tom Bly, and Dan Jergy. And, man, those guys, they'd go to those, 2-day sectionals in the 60s and they'd wrestle. It was like a Thursday and then a Saturday.
32 teams in a sectional.
And they just took one guy in most of those years until they get to the next level. And so it was really, really difficult. And obviously the Belmont Wrestling, the Decatur Wrestling program, I should say, was just in its infancy there. And a lot of those guys didn't have anybody to look up to. And still yet they persevered and set the table for the 1976 team. To finish my last thought, they're not necessarily graduates in 76, but guys who were on the 76 team who maybe had success in 77 or 78, that kind of thing. But the first one was Mike Snyder, and I think it's kind of cool that I was able to find enough information on Mike because he's got a grandson who's a freshman on the team this year.
Mike is the only 1976 grad on that list, and he was one of those seniors that was on the team. And my Mike Snyder story is that we had a guy on the team as a freshman with me, Tom Peterson, that was a member of the Adams County Boxing Club, and they were jawing about who was the best boxer. And Tom Peterson, the freshman, told Mike Snyder, the senior, well, I'll just bring some gloves in and we'll fight. And everybody thought that sounds like a great idea. Today, it probably wouldn't be a good idea.
Probably wouldn't be a very good idea.
So Coach Calver let him box, and Tom Peterson was doing pretty good. And then I think Coach Calver decided he didn't think he wanted to see how that really ended. So we canceled. We called that short, and they just called it a draw. But that was one of the first times I ever saw a boxing match in the wrestling room. And like you said, the 7 years for length of time for you can be held accountable.
Oh, yes. It doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah,
so now you can talk about it. The statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
Now, so if we're reminiscing about 1976, one thing that I thought was funny was when I was looking at the 1986 team photo, that 1986 team photo would have been taken prior to the building of the BHS auxiliary gym, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about wrestling. Just to get everybody, we got a lot of people who remember being in that wrestling room, and a lot of people who don't know where it is now. Where did you wrestle in '76? What was the practice facility?
A lot of people who wrestled in the '80s, '90s, and 2000s knew it as the weight room. It was it's in the upper deck between the two restrooms up in the basketball gym. It was in between there. And now I think it's a storage closet of some kind.
So now you're like the kids on the high school team now are aware of it, and they know what it's there, but I don't think they really recognize the fact that that's where you guys grinded.
Yeah, we had the bird's eye view. We always complained because it wouldn't stay warm in there because it's lined with windows, and you could stand up there and you could look down on the courtyard of Belmont High School and the plaza there, and you could see out the windows. There's like 12 or 15 windows up there. So if you're standing in front of the gymnasium, you look up and you see a row of windows. That is the old wrestling room. And it was kind of nice though if you got hot and you're sweating, cutting weight, and it was cold in the wintertime, you could go put your face on the window and get a little condensation off of it just to cool yourself down. But got other guys on that team that next on the list is Greg Manking. And my freshman year, when Greg was a junior, Greg basically told me, he said, "You're going to be my workout partner." And his idea of workout partner is, if the coach says do 25 fireman's carries, Greg's going to do 50 on me, and I'm going to do none. I was a throw dummy for that season, and I learned a lot from it. But I was in a three-man group with himself, Marcos Campo, and me, and they pounded on me freshman year. I was so glad to wrestle a match. I just destroyed everybody I wrestled because I didn't have to wrestle those guys in practice that day.
There's a lot of wins between the three of you.
And then the next guy, Roger Boldemeyer. Roger, not only did I know him from wrestling there, but he was my neighbor. He lived next to me on Madison Street with he and Carla for, 10 or 12 years. And I mean, just a great guy overall. I mean, we lost him a year or so ago, and just a really, really sad loss there. But he's one of those great guys.
And I was talking to Carla last night. I was asking for if she had any extra pictures. And one of the things that I added in the media guide was just how much Roger enjoyed, obviously, running his boys through the program. He enjoyed it greatly, and they were very successful, all three of them. But he really enjoyed later in life going to home meets and sitting up there in what I always call the law firm. And prior to me putting on the mic, I would sit with those guys because I really enjoyed it, and my dad was part of that general age group, and so we'd go up there and Gene, Bill Schultz,
Doug Horman.
And a couple of other guys that would come up there. Dave Emmenheiser was listening on Friday. He went to the Lures game and then listened to me on the replay. Those are the kind of guys that we really want to encourage to stay connected to the team, even if you don't have a family member on it, because it is good to go back and reminisce at those home meets at least.
Here's the kind of guy Roger Boldemeyer was. lived next door to me. I had a dog. He would go and buy dog treats and kept dog treats in his garage to feed my dog treats. I mean, that's just who Roger Boldemeyer was.
As a young middle school wrestler, I spent a lot of time at Carla's, at her office there when it was on First Street across from the Granary. And Roger brought me to a lot of tournaments and a lot of middle school practices because he really wanted me to experience the sport. And obviously I became really good friends with him later on in life too, and he was really involved in talking to my kids and all those kind of things. And Mike, I would walk away to take one kid to the bathroom, and one kid would sit on the bench. Maybe they were 3 or 4 years old, and they'd sit next to Roger and eat popcorn. And those are the kinds of memories when Coach Myers talks about the schedule, and he talks about having a balanced schedule. I think there's a lot of people that are like, why does this guy care if this year we have 2 home meets and next year we have 6? Or why does he care that it's 4-4 and 5-3? I truly commend Tim because he recognizes how important those 4 or 5 nights are to a lot of people in this town, because there are people that come. They don't know a single thing about any of those wrestlers that are on the mat. They just know that there's a home Belmont wrestling match on a Tuesday or a Thursday night, and they're not going to miss it.
If he's going to have those tribute nights, he has to have several matches where he can squeeze it in. You got a senior night, something like that. But those tribute matches, when you get the guys in their family out, I think this year he's working on a 3rd place, and they're going to hang some 3rd place ones. And I mean, that does, that's pretty close to my heart with making that wall last year. But the next guy on this list, Dave Gilbert. Dave Gilbert was the guy that put me into the varsity lineup because Dave Gilbert was a 112-pounder his junior year, and he was trying to cut to 9. He was trying to cut to 12 from 19, and 3 matches in, he told AJ, I can't make 12 all the time. So he was good enough. He went up to 19. And
was that 98, 112, 119?
Yeah, 98, 112.
105.
105,
yeah.
112.
Yeah.
So by his moving up, opened up the slot, so I got my first varsity action. I came in, and I wrestled between Dave and Greg and Marcus and those guys, and it was great wrestling Gilbert because he was a leg man. And if you wanted to learn how to get out of legs, you got to wrestle somebody that runs legs, and somebody runs them well, because if you have somebody on top that doesn't run legs well, it doesn't teach you how to get out of them. And those guys are leggers like that, would just get on top and just ride you, and it really taught you how to counter legs and get out of them. I mean, so I appreciate that.
And Dave Gilbert, a 4-time sectional champ. What was the sectional like back then? How many teams were there?
8 or 10, I think, something like that.
Definitely not the 90s and early 2000s 4 and 5 team sectional, right? Where they split it up and there were 64 sectionals.
Yep.
Back then there were probably maybe 16 sectionals across the state.
We didn't have a semi-state then.
What was the first year for the semi-state?
70. 78, I think. 77,
okay,
I think.
That
77,
sounds about right.
I think.
So that was that. Think of the transition from the 66 team that went into there was one sectional winner, and maybe they fed into. There was a regional, I know, but then the regional you could lose and then come back in.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of those guys who, if you look at the records that Sean Farrote and Tim Myers put together, they had a loss early in the regional, but then they had wins later on, and then they progressed.
Well, I think in 76 they actually had semi-state, but the number of people you took out of your regional was different.
Okay.
You had to take top 3 and it didn't come out, and then eventually opened it up so you could take top 4, and they took another one out. And then that's when they took state finals from a 1-day event to a 2-day event, so that those semi-states, you brought the extra guy in. Now Friday night you got to win that first round match, but the champions, wrestling a loser from the 4th placer.
Yeah, and now with 16 guys in each weight class and 8 medals, if you go back in time and plug that formula into the Belmont teams of the 70s and even the early 80s, you're going to end up with a heck of a lot more medals than what you have on the wall right now.
People don't understand. Today, you see, we're talking a lot of these guys are really good freshmen coming in. They wrestle 4 years. If you look at the career win records before 76, 78, 80, something like that, the guys didn't have a lot of wins because you didn't wrestle varsity when you were a freshman or sophomore. You could not get in the lineup because we didn't have the same kind of programs to make those young studs that we have now. And you had guys coming in, and they hadn't been wrestling that long to come in and break the spot. Unless you're a team that just didn't have enough places, enough guys to fill weight classes, and that didn't happen. So you come in, like I said, my sophomore year, I would not have wrestled varsity if Gilbert would have made 12. There was just not a spot. But by him going up, it let me in the lineup. And you actually, that was the next year you sent me the list. You had some pictures. You were reminiscing through the yearbook the other night, and it's like, here's these. It's like, no, that's not me. That's Steve Carter. But it's one of those things. You look at those old yearbooks and think, yeah, that was a guy and that was a guy. And you knew the weight classes and where they were. But in '76, my first match, we wrestled AC that match, third match in this season. And by getting in the lineup first off, my very first varsity match, I wrestled against Jim. I think it wasn't Jim Fichter, Lynn Fichter. Lynn Fichter, one of the older Fichters, but he was the sectional champion before, and he's a senior. And I had wrestled my first match, and it wasn't the big AC Belmont match, but there was, close to 2,000 people in the gym, and I wrestled him to a 1-1 tie, my very first varsity match. So if you look at the wall up there, and it's like 6-6-1, that was my one tie against Mr. Fichter, my very first varsity match. I was down 1-0 with 3 seconds left, and I hit a long sit out and got an escape as a buzzer went off and tied him 1-1.
Good reminiscing, Rex. We'll do more of that here in subsequent episodes as we try to shed a little bit of a light on some of these guys who were 1-year and 2-year varsity wrestlers back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So we'll play a round of messages, be back with the overtime right after this.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Twas the season for giving, and throughout the community, neighbors shopped local with remarkable unity. They found clothes and toys that make children glad, sparkling jewelry for mom, electronics for dad. Why, everything you need to spread holiday cheer is all readily available right now and right here. This reminder to shop local for all your heart yearns comes with Merry Christmas wishes from First Bank of Bird.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable, and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season. Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our last segment here on a Haggard, Hirschy, Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly. And that ad from Mr. Bowers there, I saw where his son got a win at the Belmont Invite on Saturday.
And he graciously bought a bag of popcorn from the class of 2028 who was working the concession stand on Saturday morning. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. We're running out of time here, but kind of a microcosm of some of the challenges that some of these teams face. Carroll pulled out of the traditional early season JV event that usually put the Jay County, Adams Central, and Belmont boys on the mat earlier in the year. And there's only 25 boys between the three schools, with Carroll pulling out their 25 or 30 boys. It's really hard in this area to get those JV boys some matches. And that is something that the Fort Wayne area has got to work on, because like Landon Sealscott, we saw him last year. He wrestled really, really well. He's got big hopes for junior, senior year. He loses the wrestle off in the first week of the season, and he needs opportunities to get onto the mat, and that's definitely something that the coaching staff is thinking about. We wrestled at Wawasee on Friday. They only had 4 JV matches.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Tuesday night at Snyder, we'll have some more. But that's a different topic for a different time, perhaps. We do want to run through really quickly so that you're a little bit educated on the Snyder Panthers. They do have some decent lightweights coming back. Jalen Davis was 23-9. He's a regional qualifier last year. He is slated as their 106. He is an 11th grader, so we will learn a lot more about Cameron Barger, the Belmont freshman, on Tuesday. They also have a regional qualifier back at 113 pounds, and that should mean that we'll get our very first look at the high school version of Bradley Baker, so we're excited about that. And then at 126, they have a couple of guys back. I don't know which one will be 26 and which one will be 32. Damian Starkey and Owen McCann. And so we'll look forward to that. Beyond that, they also have Deacon Rhodes, who's listed as a 132-pounder. So that should provide some competition there for Belmont. At 157 pounds, Spencer Shively is a regional qualifier. A year ago, that was the weight where Owen Shane wrestled on Friday. We'll see what the Belmont lineup looks like then. And then up top, they don't have a whole lot of varsity experience. So some opportunities for Landon Rich and Douglas Hamilton to pick up their first wins in their senior seasons. But if you're unable to make it to Snyder on Tuesday, obviously we would encourage everybody to go to Snyder. There's very few rivalries in our area, regardless of sport, that have the same sort of meaning and feel as Belmont versus Snyder in high school wrestling. But obviously if you can't make it up there, make sure that you tune in and have everything set up for YouTube on Tuesday. We should, Rex, when they put us on YouTube, we have no limitations. There's no one telling us when to go off and when to start off. I have no problem with a nice long pre-match show. We'll call some of the JV matches and get you some names that don't get a whole lot of coverage. And we'll go through all of our ads, maybe double time. And I don't know how many people were listening when we went on, but we got that really nifty.
Oh, that is so professional. We appreciate Dave Nathan putting that together for you. And it sounded, I heard the starting lineup of the Colts today, and I was like, that sounds just like the Colts starting lineup.
It was very cool. I hope that you heard it. If you didn't hear it, jump back on YouTube and find the video and check it out. It went on right before the varsity action started, so maybe 20 or 30 minutes in, something like that, before the varsity started. We'll do it again on Tuesday, and you'll get an opportunity to hear it again. We are going to change that throughout the year as the weight classes change. We did leave out Owen Shane because we had Sam Wolpert in there because originally he was supposed to be the guy in the lineup. We'll see what that looks like on Tuesday. But, yeah, we're excited. And above everything else, Matthew C. Monroe's making
the Matthew C.
Making the trip up to Snyder on Tuesday.
We are on YouTube because there's a big girls basketball game, county teams versus each other. But, you get a lot of feedback. Have you heard good or bad feedback from this show being on YouTube? I personally like it on YouTube because the guys don't have to wait till Tuesday for it to be brought back up. That's a nice screen play.
I think that for some people, YouTube is easier to navigate as far as picking different spots and those types of things. And, of course, it's readily available. You can listen to it in a lot different ways than maybe the podcast. Maybe it's a little clunkier when you go to the podcast side of things. But I think there are people who are consuming it both ways. So, we're looking forward to it. We're going to have our show at Mishawaka, like always, where we'll announce the seeds and go through and just have some fun with a different group of people. And obviously, it's difficult sometimes for coaches to get here. But when we go to the Al Smith, they're all right there. We've got some great officials who are there. We've got a new athletic director and a new coach at Mishawaka as well.
You'll have me there.
And we've also got a show for the girls' state finals and for the boys' state finals. So, yeah, lots and lots of fun, and we're looking forward to really getting the season underway.
So once again, we thank everybody for coming out here in person. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I'd like to thank our sponsors help bring this to you once again. And stay tuned next week for another episode of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly here on WZBD's YouTube channel.